Joe Biden's cabinet taking shape. Former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen is poised to take over as Treasury Secretary from Steve Mnuchin. If confirmed, she'd be the first woman to hold that position. Joining me now, Texas Congressman, House Financial Services Committee member Lance Gooden. Congressman, what impact will Yellen's leadership at the Treasury have on the economy, you think?
Well, first of all, let's just state that the reason we're talking about her and not Elizabeth Warren is because Democrats did not win big as they were expected to in the Senate. And because of that, Joe Biden knows that he has to be a bit more moderate in these picks, and Janet Yellen is that. Obviously, she's a Democrat, and she's more left than I would probably like. But she's certainly no Elizabeth Warren. She has a history of academia. She was at the Fed. She works well with Mr. Powell, who's currently at the Fed. I suspect some of the tension that we've seen between Treasury and the Fed in the last few weeks will probably go away. I think she'll be pushing for major stimulus funds packages in the coming year in the new Congress, and she'll be Joe Biden's representative on the Hill. And so I'm looking at her being a big advocate for quite a bit of spending.
Steve Forbes, I want to bring you in here because I have a theory that Janet Yellen actually will be a gift to the far left, a gift to progressives, a gift to Bernie Sanders and his followers, his ilk, for this reason. Because already the Federal Reserve, she ran the Fed is financing the U.S. debt. We borrow money and the Fed prints money and the Federal Reserve buys it. I mean, it just throws what the 1951 a famous accord with the Board of Governors between the Treasury that kind of separated the two functions, throws that out of the window. But what this means, this goes right to modern monetary theory, which the likes of Bernie Sanders have talked about, where you can spend, as a government, endless amounts of money. The sky is literally the limit because the Fed can just buy that debt with printed money. What say you?
Well, it's absolutely true, and modern monetary theory really ignores the history of Venezuela, which we see unfolding today, what happened in Germany in the early 1920s with that hyperinflation, what happened. I'm interested in the congressman in terms of how do you prevent the Fed becoming a fiscal spender as well as a monetary spender, and also what can be done to prevent the Yellen and others from imposing a dramatic new round of regulations on banks, especially small banks, who in years past used to be financiers of small businesses. And we saw what happened when they cut off that lending after 2008.
Well, first of all, the Senate is going to be critical. We can't lose these seats in Georgia. Second of all, back in the House, I would also argue that China and her policies towards China, she seems to be much less strict on what she plans to do with China than the president has been, than President Trump has been. I'm also concerned about her policies on green energy. She has thrown a bone to the AOC and Bernie Sanders camp. So China and these green deals that she's supporting, I think, are very concerning. But to quote Mr. Forbes, the concern about the spending, her level of interest in the Fed is going to be high. She's going to have a lot of power with the Fed. Secretary Mnuchin has not been as successful controlling the Fed as I think that Janet Yellen will be in the coming Congress, in the coming year. And so I'm very concerned. I do promise that she will get a fair shake in the financial services hearing. There will not ever be a level of disrespect toward her that Democrats have shown toward Secretary Mnuchin over the last 2 years. But I am concerned about the spending and her desire to continue to print money. It seems as if that's what this Biden administration is all about.
Well, in terms of Steve Mnuchin's relationship with the Federal Reserve, there's much being made about the money that Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, ended some of the emergency lending programs at the Federal Reserve and then is clawing back money that was essentially allocated for that very purpose. That money, it's almost $500 billion, will go into the Treasury's general fund. Now it is up. So he got tough. He got tough with those Fed programs, said that we're not extending them because they were designed to end based on the rescue in the spring. So he clawed back that money. It's $500 billion. Now it's up to fancy Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, to reallocate that money. that it's sitting there along with literally hundreds of billions of dollars more in money that was unspent. It's sitting there to the point that you don't even need a new stimulus or rescue package. You just need to reallocate that money. Is that going to happen?
I think it will if Democrats take what we have offered. The Senate has said that they will go along with $500 billion today. Democrats say no, we want something closer to $2 trillion. But to your point, Secretary Mnuchin hasn't taken this money away. He just made it to where the House and Senate have to reappropriate it. So the next Treasury Secretary is not going to be able to just spend it. And the Fed was against that. They said, no, we want to keep this money. And obviously, the next secretary wanted to have that at her disposal. She doesn't now. She'll have to go through Congress. And so the Biden administration is going to have to come to the table, and perhaps they'll have to accept something less than $2 trillion. It's crazy to me that Democrats wouldn't accept $500 billion a month ago, and now we've got continued months passing. We're going into the Christmas season. The virus is getting worse. There's still no deal, and they won't accept anything, even if it's much more than zero.
And there's back of the envelope calculation, it is hundreds of billions of dollars in unspent money that you don't need to actually pass anything. You just have to reallocate that. It's way more.
That's right.
It's way more than even $600 billion. It's just incredible. But in terms of those stimulus negotiations, do you think that you can get something done on, say, extending unemployment benefits for people, help for small businesses? What's the likelihood of that? Before we go, Congressman.
I think we can. It was announced yesterday that a deal was announced to prevent a shutdown. The government set to shut down December the 12th. I don't think that's going to happen. And I suspect in that deal we may have an extension of unemployment benefits for sure into next month. But my hope is that by December 12th we'll have some really good news.
Congressman Lance Gooden, thank you so much. Great to see you.